We all know egg donation's really expensive, but there's one way to do it really pretty cheaply that people don't think about at all. Hey, Kathy Benardo here from the Northeast Assisted Fertility Group. And I know egg donation is a really expensive undertaking. By the time you pay the egg donor, you do the cycle and have all of that, it could be $25,000 or more. And there's one very underutilized option available to people that they don't really think about. In fact, fewer than 1% of embryo transfers are done this way. And that is through embryo donation. So we know, as I've said in an earlier video, there are hundreds of thousands of frozen embryos out there that people don't need. They've created their embryos. You're typically doing IVF, so with the intended mom and the intended dad, they create these embryos. They have, after an IVF cycle, maybe 12 embryos, 6 embryos. They transfer 1 or 2, and the other ones are just frozen in perpetuity. So the IVF couple may choose to donate them. Okay, and this is actually the least expensive way to use donor material. So there are a couple of ways you can get embryos. You can get them through these very Christian organizations that consider embryos like children. They consider them actual living beings, and they treat it like an adoption. So basically it is an adoption, but just earlier on in the stage. So instead of adopting a baby, you adopt the actual embryo, and then you can just state it yourself or use the surrogate. So, and they have a home study, and it really is considered like an adoption, and there is some kind of communication and relationship with the parents who created the embryo. That's one way, embryo adoption. But it's more common to just have an embryo donation, and that is to get the embryo from your clinic from recipients who just have that frozen there and they don't need them anymore. Now, the reason it's so inexpensive, there's a couple of things. You cannot purchase embryos. Embryos cannot be bought. It's not allowed. That's why they have to be either adopted or donated. Of course, there are lots of fees involved in the process, but it's not really buying them. And the other reason it's not expensive is because all the work is done. All the screening, all the cycling, all the monitoring, all the meds, all the anesthesia, the retrieval, it's all done. People don't realize it. Just to start way back at the basics. An embryo is not an egg. You can buy eggs, and you buy them in lots of 6 or whatever. Embryos are already fertilized. So there's the sperm and there's the egg, okay? And they are already formed. So when you adopt an embryo, it will have none of your genetic material. It's similar to adopting a baby. If you would ever consider adopting a baby, you know that baby would have none of your genetic material. The same thing with adopting or using a donated embryo. Okay, it would have none of your genetic material. However, you can carry the baby, give birth to the baby if that's something you're able to do. So if you would ever consider adopting a baby and if adoption just didn't work out for you, the next step possibly could be embryo donation. I think it will become much more of a thing later on. It's just really, really underutilized. There are a lot of frozen embryos out there, and it is way less expensive than, getting even a donor egg. It really, the whole cost would just about be the thaw, and transfer. It would be a few $1,000s, a lot less, and maybe even with all the legal work that adoption entails, it may be even comparable to that, although I'm not sure how much adoption costs nowadays. So again, it's none of your genetic material, but it's another option. Keep costs down, have a beautiful, healthy baby. And the way to find out if your clinic works with donated embryos is just go on SART, S-A-R-T, the Society for Assisted Reproductive Technology.org, and it'll list all the things that your clinic does, and it'll check off embryo donation. They'll work with donated embryos. And again, they probably do 0 to 1 transfer a year because, again, it's underutilized, but if they do it, it's something you can take advantage of. So I hope that was helpful. If so, please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel and go to assistedfertility.com for more information on egg donation and surrogacy. Thanks so much for watching.